This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code DETROIT to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
An NBA heavy show today.
That's how we
for
like it.
Certain. We will brush on the football, but we're a couple of Michigan State people.
Yeah.
And so we might not be super eager to talk about what went on Saturday afternoon. But we do realize that, we do.
I mean, I was happy at the end. It's what I wanted. Like, I wanted them to get blown out and it to be embarrassing because I just need more things to add up and it to finally be whatever nail in the coffin it takes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was on the side of a lot of Spartan fans, same side as you, who were really rooting for their team to lose.
Yeah.
I mean,
bad for the kids, but it is what it is.
I don't want to sit here and say that I was rooting for Michigan to win. I wasn't.
No, of course
but
not.
I was certainly not rooting for Michigan State to win because
that would have bought them a year.
I mean, I genuinely believe that if Michigan State had won, then you go and beat Maryland, and then you go and beat Rutgers, and then you go to the Quick Lane Bowl, and you put a stake in Central Michigan, and you're 8-5, and Mark D'Antonio gets to throw 8-5 and a win over Michigan in my face.
No,
he's sticking around for sure. And
he doesn't even have to fire the coordinators.
He gets to keep his church group and everything. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that they lost, at least now, like when you have now the loss to Wisconsin, the loss to Ohio State, the loss to Illinois, the loss to Penn State, the loss to Michigan.
At what point?
Done.
Yeah, like at what point? What else does it take?
There's nothing more. Like at this point,
like lose to Maryland just for kicks.
I wouldn't be shocked if they lost to Rutgers.
Yeah, Rutgers. My fault.
We're at a point. I mean, both of them. But we're at a point now where it's like we now have proved that 3-9 wasn't a fluke. You're no longer able to go back to 3-9 and blame it on a lost locker room or blame it on all the other external factors that they've been really like happy and excited to blame 3-9 on. They blame it on the locker room being separated because of a political divide early because the players were kicked off the team because of what went down with why am I blanking on the kid's name? It's the Seahawks. Malik McDowell.
Oh, Malik McDowell, yeah.
What went down there, and they blame it on all these different things. But now it's like, yeah, you won 10 games the next year, you went 7-5 the year after that, but now we're back to 4-6, staring down the barrel of 5-7 at best. I mean, I don't think they beat both Maryland and Rutgers the way they're playing right now.
No, and I mean, you can see it on the field. It's just not the same. Like I don't know if you heard Urban Meyer at the half, or it might even been post game, but he had like a phenomenal quote on it. Chris Vanini tweeted it. You watch Michigan State play. How many NFL players do they got? It doesn't look like the defenses I used to go against. They had first-round corners. They had Le'Veon Bell. I don't see that. That's coaches, recruiting, and development. That's Urban Meyer.
I've heard on radio shows here, I've heard it from people I talk to, I've heard it on good authority from people that I talk to, that there is dissension among the coaching staff, that there are people who are pissed that they got demoted, that somebody else got their position, that they got moved laterally, whatever it might be. And these people are genuinely upset on the sideline. And you have people who are mad that one guy's not recruiting, or one guy's not willing to recruit, or one guy's not recruiting at the same level as other people. So now you have a Michigan State program that, plain and simple, has MAC level players because they're recruiting at a MAC level, and they don't have the tap in Ohio they used to have. They don't have the taps that they used to open when they had Harlan Barnett, when they had Pat Narduzzi. Like, you're not getting those same recruits because you don't have those same pipelines.
They haven't had a first-round corner since Wayne's. Like, Justin Lane was not a first-round corner as much as people say he wanted to slip. Like, he went where he went. I mean, they haven't had those type of guys. Like, you're pumping out Darqueze Denards and Trey Waynes in back-to-back years, and you're pumping out D linemen and running backs like Le'Veon Bell. I mean, no, Langford's gone now, but he made it in the NFL for a minute. They don't have those guys anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not even like you had Brian Lewerke, and that was a talent that was supposed to be this maybe the best quarterback we'd ever had.
Yeah,
and you've let him die behind an awful offensive line.
Yeah, and
you're
honestly,
not willing.
What are we playing him for anymore?
You look at like Mark Staten, who's been around for years and been in charge of recruiting and been in charge of coaching on that offensive line and development. Dude, I've been saying for a couple years now, he was extremely lucky that he got Jack Conklin and the Allen brothers to come through there as first-round talents on the offensive line.
Travis Jackson's, Connor Cruz's.
He's not getting those guys anymore, and he's not coaching them up like he used to.
Never.
The development has gone out the window. They were like finding gems, diamonds in the rough, the way that they used to do, out the window. I mean, Darqueze Denard was a 2-star recruit. Like, we can't sit here and go, that was a first-round talent when you recruited him.
Le'Veon Bell wasn't a big-time recruit.
These
are
guys
from
who
Columbus. They didn't want him.
They went and found, and it's like they keep trying to dig up the gems, but they don't have.
Jeremy Langford was a corner.
I don't think they have the eye talent to go find these guys anymore. Like, you had Narduzzi and Harlan Barnett. You had guys who were capable of going and finding guys. Not only that, you had guys who were going to get jobs at other schools when they left Michigan State. When Mark D'Antonio leaves and when these coordinators leave, nobody else can get a job.
No, I mean, Treadwell got hired at Miami. Rochar went to New Orleans. Like, there were a lot of coaches coming off that. They picked Harlan Barnett off. Took him away. Willie Taggart did. So, yeah, you don't have those coaches. You don't hear a bunch of people sniffing around Michigan State's coordinators now.
Nobody's shopping Dave. God, I'm blanking on his name too. The Dave Warner. Nobody's shopping Dave Warner. No. Nobody's shopping Brad Salem.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But nobody, like, you think anybody wants Mark Tressel after what he's done with this defense?
No.
That defense was talented enough to be top 5 in the country. They are
they quit.
Bottom 90.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. And I think people will, like, this is a player problem because they're more interested in getting their film than they are winning games. I don't blame them.
No. It's been 2 years of this.
If sitting in the scheme that they want you to run means you're going to look like a worse player in a worse scheme and a worse talent, and it's going to impact your stock, I don't blame you for going out of the scheme and trying to get tape and win your battles. Like, do your thing. Get your film. And that's what I said a couple of weeks ago when I bombed D'Antonio. It was just, if you're an offensive player on this team or a defensive player on this team and you have eligibility left and you can go somewhere else, go.
Yeah.
Because they don't care about you here. They don't, and they won't care about you. And you don't want to be here for a regime change. If you hire Luke Fickell.
Oh, my God.
Which, listen, he's done well with Cincinnati.
That's fine. Let him keep doing well there.
But I'm not, like, I would hope that they go and hire someone else. I'm just using.
Not Luke Fickell. I'm not another defensive guy. Just get me a guy with a, like, I can't keep watching this product. I need some fun football to watch. Like, just be Minnesota. Be something fun to watch. Like, just go get a guy like a James Franklin who's running a spread and is fun. Like,
I don't even need coaching genius. We don't need to go and find Ryan Day. We don't need to go and find Sean McVay. I need somebody who is going to have an energy about them. Because right now, this program is dead and lifeless.
Yeah,
they're nothing coming out of it. And then on the other end, you have a Michigan team that is projecting up. I guess. I mean, I still have questions.
They're gonna win 10 games now, and that's foreseeable. After the Penn State game, there was a way like, okay, they'll get into a crappy bowl game against the Capital One Bowl against whoever, and they'll beat South Carolina or. In fact, they'll probably play Florida, whoever loses from the East.
With the way they've played the past few weeks, I think they have an argument to be a top 10 team right now, because I think the top 10 in college football after this weekend, I kept waiting. This is what I'll say about college football this weekend. I kept waiting for the time where teams would prove to me they aren't good enough. And
Oklahoma, I thought, was going to do that.
Right. Like every year, there's so many good teams, and then we find out, oh, actually only like 6 of those teams were any good. This felt like the weekend where Baylor showed us they're not all that. Minnesota showed us they're not all that. Like
we knew that was going to happen with Minnesota.
Alabama, even though it happened in a horrific way,
it sucks.
But like all of these teams are showing us, yeah, we aren't good enough to win a national title. Really, it is just LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, and then whoever wins the Pac-12. Those are the only good teams. Really, those are the only ones who can do it.
I'm not even sure that there's a good Pac-12. Like, I think Oregon is okay, but
dude, I'm not even sure
that
Clemson's good enough. Like, it really might be LSU and Ohio State, and then everyone else.
I want that game bad.
And I do too. And Joe Burrow going against his old team. That's going to be fantastic.
Hell yeah.
You know, it'll also be fantastic, and it won't happen because I don't think 2 SEC teams get in. If Justin Fields would get to go against Georgia in a semifinal,
that'd be great too.
That'd be excellent.
Yeah, hell of a lot of fun.
But yeah, I'd love to see Joe Burrow against his old school. I'd love to see Justin Fields against Georgia. I know that's a long way off, but that's kind of the weekend it was. Penn State struggling at home against Indiana.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest look in the world. I mean, this was the weekend that showed me the Big Ten's maybe not the best conference in America, but again, I don't know what is.
No,
because the SEC's weak at the bottom.
Baylor was awful in the second half.
Oh, terrible!
They completely lost all hope for Baylor.
Which you do have to give credit to Lincoln Riley and Oklahoma for making those adjustments.
Come down from 28-3, like
most dangerous lead in football yet again. It just keeps striking. So that's kind of, and then I want to touch on Michigan because they're playing really well, and you can't take that away from them.
Sure.
But you look at Notre Dame, Shea Patterson threw 12 passes.
Right.
You look at Michigan State, Shea Patterson threw 17 passes.
Right.
And it's like, I know he's being efficient, and he's making the most out of the throws that he's being asked to make, but at some point, I need to see you win the game because you're not going to be able to go to the shoe or have them come to you, whatever it is this year. You're not going to be able to host Ohio State and run the ball 57 times and expect to win that game.
I don't think I need any more proof to know that if they put it on his arm, they're going to lose. Like if you're trying to win a game,
30 times.
If you're trying to win a game on Patterson's arm, you're not going to win the game, especially against an Ohio State or a good team like that. But they've done other things. Like they're somewhat dynamic right now. Zach Charbonnet's kind of found a rhythm.
It does kind of feel like Josh Gaddis has found a little bit of a rhythm too as the play caller. Like I knew it would take time because he's never called plays in his life.
Right.
But it is kind of now it's starting to seem like he's into the offense. It's almost like if Michigan had sold this in the offseason as it's going to take a little bit of time, but we're going to get there. We're seeing progress instead of saying it's speed and space. Everybody's bought in. It's going to be awesome.
They have guys out to like playmakers that just their receivers are Ohio State, but their receivers after Ohio State probably the best in the Big Ten. Like,
well, I would say, and I've had this conversation with my friends, is outside of LSU and Ohio State, I think their receivers would start at every college in the country.
Pretty much.
Nobody's starting over Jerry Jeudy, but anywhere else, I think your guys are going to start pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Nico Collins, really good player.
Really good player.
DPJ's a really good player. Ronnie Bell's a really good player.
I like Ronnie Bell.
You have a core that, outside of those two schools, is going to start pretty much everywhere. Yeah. They have a little bit of speed. They can get guys on the outside. They have a little bit of dynamic play calling going on right now, but it is just, if you're going to have to sit back and have Shea Patterson throw the ball 30 times.
You can't win it on his arm.
Even yesterday, there were passes that were caught that I'm like, it was a rollout, and it was early in the game. It might have been still 10-7 or whatever the score was, and Shea Patterson rolls out right, and he makes a throw back to his left that was like on the turf, and it was caught, and it might have been Ronnie Bell or DPJ. I can't remember who caught it. But if he just doesn't put it on the turf, it was a touchdown. It was open field ahead of him. And it's those little mistakes that Shea Patterson's going to make, where he'll get the completion, but he might just miss the window. That's the difference between a 60-yard home run and
he had one
7 yards.
Yeah, for sure. He had Collins on a wheel route on one of those rollouts, and he took the slant, and he hit the pass, but Collins was wide open up the sideline.
It's just he's always going to go to the first read.
For sure.
He's not going to progress through his checks. I mean, he's just going to go single read. If it's not there,
one-read guy.
He's going to roll out.
He's a one-read guy.
There's nothing wrong with it, but it is just I'm hesitant to anoint him as being fixed and efficient and awesome, and like I'm hesitant. Sure. I'm really hesitant even to call Michigan's offense fixed because I haven't seen you. You played a Penn State defense I've been calling a fraud. You played
lost that game too.
Yeah, you played a Notre Dame defense that frankly isn't very good. I know
in a hurricane.
Yeah, and I know what they did to Navy, but you ran the ball 57 times.
Right.
And then you look at the Michigan State defense that both of us have said flat out has quit.
They've completely quit.
They are worried about individual plays than they are stopping an offense. So that's the point where I have to see them do it now against Indiana, who's playing more defensively than we've seen them play in years, and then again do it against Ohio State, which we talked about last week. Ryan Day going for an onside kick up 14 against Maryland. He's prepping.
They're getting Chase Young back.
Yeah, he's prepping to put a 70-piece on him.
He's been doing it all year. He hasn't been onside kicking up 14-0 against a bad team all year, but he's been going after throats all year. He is not taking his foot off the gas. Even in the second half, he comes out ready to run over people.
He's trying to prove that he's a man.
Making a statement. He's making a statement. He'll be coaching the Redskins soon enough.
So let's quickly touch on the Lions, and then we'll get into the NBA stuff.
Cool.
What the hell?
Yep, that's about right. Just stop there. What the hell?
I get that Matt Stafford's hurt, and I get that it sucks when you got to run out there with Jeff Driscoll.
It's all right. We're going to sign Kaepernick now. Can't wait.
We should touch on that, too. But you look at what the hell?
Just what the hell? What the hell?
This was a game they had no business even being in, and they had opportunities to win it. What the hell was Matt Patricia thinking going for two?
I don't know. There were so many things where, like, Galladay over the middle at the end of the fourth quarter, finally, even the guy, I think it was Kevin Burkhardt, called the game, was just like, it's like they finally woke up. We're like, hey, we have Kenny Galladay on our team. Like, yeah, for 3 quarters, I've been like, where the hell is 19?
You know the craziest stat about Kenny Galladay? Leads the league in touchdowns on 38 catches.
Yeah.
That was going into today. I don't know how many he had today, but going into today, he led the league in touchdowns on 38 catches, and the catch leader, Michael Thomas, had 86. Yeah. It's like, how are you? It's like Tyler Lockett with the low volume. Right. This is more a testament to how well Matthew Stafford was playing.
For sure.
Where you could maximize Galladay like that.
He's been outstanding with Galladay. He's Minitron.
But it is kind of interesting that Galladay can't work his way into getting more catches, but then he is very efficient when you do throw the ball to him.
Deep and up. Just do that every time. Deep and up.
I really, the one play that I really can't get over is you're down 14, you score a touchdown late,
and you punt.
You got 6 points. You're down 8, and for whatever reason, you decided to go for 2. I can't.
That one too.
For the life of me, I can't figure out why he went for 2.
No idea. No idea.
And they tried to explain it away on the broadcast. Like, there was no iota of sense to that decision. Like, no matter how you try to explain this away, they said, it's still a 1-score game. They can still go in a 2-point conversion, changes everything. Like, they get the lead back, all this stuff. And it's like, but if you just kick the field goal, you still need the touchdown, and you go to overtime.
Right.
Like, what's the difference? You've Prater. Like, it's not like you don't have it
for no reason.
It's not like you have a kicker you can't trust. You have Prater.
Yeah.
I don't get that decision. That's not, and of course, it's not the only decision I don't understand. Matt Patricia made a number of dumb choices.
It's a continuous process with him.
But I'm at a point, though, where how long are we going to let this guy, who's a defensive mastermind, have a terrible defense? Like, how much time do we really need to get? Because that's been the narrative now, is like, he needs time. Give him time. Give him time.
Right.
I don't think
I
it's
just
the
feel like
NFL.
you took over a 9-7 team. Like what time? How much time am I supposed to give you?
When you take over a 9-7 football team with a franchise quarterback in place, like people need to understand, that is not a situation that first-time head coaches ever walk into. Ever.
No.
So to hold him to the standard of, well, he's a first-time head coach, it's not fair because he had the most advantageous situation of any head coach walking into a situation.
And the defense
Period.
wasn't broken. He didn't walk in and inherit some bad defense. They're worse.
He walked in and you look at the pick for Gerard Davis, hand-picked by Matt Patricia. Dude, he might be the worst position player in the NFL.
It's
like he literally might be the worst player in the NFL. And they picked him because of scheme and fit.
Like,
at some point, the scheme's stupid.
You can. Our quarterback's hurt. Everything on our D. We don't have our starting safety, which you traded away. Like everything. There's so many excuses over and over again. Where it's like, just take a little responsibility for this. Shit isn't going right. Like, come out and be like, sorry, it's not. It's our fault, and it's not great right now. We get it.
The quarterback injury is the most jarring excuse, too, because people are like, well, what's he supposed to do when his MVP caliber quarterback gets hurt? Like, one, they weren't winning when he was healthy.
Yeah.
And two, he's a defensive head coach.
Yeah. I mean,
like, if this were Darrell Bevel were the head coach and Matthew Stafford gets injured and it derails his entire offensive scheme, that's different. You have a defensive head coach with a shit defense. See ya. Like, that's all I need to know.
And even like the quarterback concern, like I get that, like week 1 is week 1, but all 16 games count exactly the same.
Right.
And he didn't trust his quarterback enough in week 1 to let him win him the damn game. So like, even if you have this great quarterback, he's undermined him to a degree. I guess maybe that's a strong word, but he's sort of held him back at least a little bit this year to the point that they've lost a couple games they probably shouldn't have lost. And you could put it on Patricia and not Stafford.
Pretty much.
I don't know what else you wait for. I get that he's Bob Quinn's guy. Like, there's no way he's going anywhere unless somebody above Bob Quinn says he has to go somewhere. Because Bob Quinn's not going to make that call after 2 years of a guy he brought in on his, like, he handpicked him. No one was, I guess there was a little pressure to fire Caldwell, but no one was going to go up in arms if they didn't get rid of Caldwell. So, I just don't, what do you wait for?
I think like people get mixed up with the college deal, and it's like we have to give them 3 years. That's not the case in the NFL.
No,
you can turn over a roster real quick.
Yeah.
You can implement your scheme real fast. You're dealing with pro players. You're not dealing with 18-year-old kids who have to learn how to play the game still.
Yeah, why can Sean McVay walk into L.A. and in 2 years they're in the Super Bowl and they were 7-9? Like, what's different?
I get that Sean McVay is under fire right now,
right,
and deservedly
but they were in the Super Bowl,
right? And that's where like Matt Nagy comes in first year, takes the Bears to 12-4 and wins Coach of the Year
with a shit quarterback.
I mean, I know Doug Marone's not the greatest coach in the world, but you look at what he did with the Jags. You look at Doug Peterson.
Look at what he did in Buffalo.
Like, you look at head coaches who come into situations and make magic happen. Doug Peterson made magic happen in Philly.
Hell yeah.
Like, straight up.
McDermott got the Bills to the playoffs in 1 year.
It's like,
with Tyrod Taylor.
It's not happening with Matt Patricia. No. It's just not. And so it's like, I don't need 3 years of evidence before I finally move on from
Let's
this
get
guy.
Jay Gruden in here.
Anyone. Literally, Jay Gruden would be fine.
Let's get Jay Gruden in here.
When Jay Gruden had a front office that gave a shit to work with him, they were fantastic.
He made Andy Dalton an MVP candidate.
That is a great. I would love to see.
He made Kirk Cousins look good.
I would. You imagine what Jay Gruden can do with Matthew Stafford?
I would love it.
I want to touch on Matthew Stafford a little bit though, because we're talking about a guy who is going to be 32 years old with chronic back injuries.
Can you say chronic if it's the first time he's been hurt in like 9 years though?
But he had the back fractures last year.
Yeah, but he's been playing through everything. I get like
now you have the back fractures again. I know it's a different injury, but it's still like
I would hold him out the rest of this year, no matter what.
Back injuries are the worst injuries in sports, and you're on the wrong side
worst
of 30
injuries in
now.
life. You're just bad for everything.
And it's like I do get a little worried. Like maybe if you keep him out and shut him down, maybe you do try to draft Joe Burrow and then you play Stafford next year and you hand the keys over the year after.
You think you probably got to get the number 1 pick to get Burrow, though, right?
At this point. I mean, now the other side of this is Tua is probably an undrafted free agent at this point.
Well, he can come back.
True.
Yeah,
but
if he doesn't want to leave, he could leave and still probably get signed or drafted. But
they've said
might as well just go back.
They said he's expected to make a full recovery, but it's like the injury that he suffered is terrifying.
Yeah. If he goes back for his senior year, theoretically, so what? He comes out at 22 instead of 21, right. And if he is healthy and they're really good, then we go right back to the Tua debate. But he's also going to be coming out that year with Justin Fields and Jake Fromm and a lot of other guys. Trevor Lawrence, a lot of guys who are really, really good. Yeah. So we'll see how that works for him. It really sucks.
Jake Fromm's plummeted his stock a little bit. Elsewhere,
just he screams John Gruden quarterback, though, doesn't he? Late first round at just a perfect game, man. Doesn't he just scream John Gruden quarterback?
I could actually hear John Gruden in his old QB
Jake
summer
Fromm,
camp.
Man.
Oh, my God. Did they just miss the field goal, too?
No, they got it.
Oh, holy cow. We're watching the Sunday night game while we tape. Yeah. We're taping this live. Anyway, around the NFL, are the Ravens going to win the Super Bowl?
Okay, so I had
they look like a wagon.
I had this thought today that I love Lamar Jackson right now, and I think he's great, and it's unbelievable to watch. But I had this thought come through me today with all the Kaepernick stuff that's gone on, and with how, I wouldn't say bad, but how much we've seen Kyle Allen regress. That, Kaepernick was really good for 1 year, and Ron Jaworski even said he could be the best quarterback of all time, and he got to the Super Bowl and lost, and he had a few injuries after that, and we didn't really hear from him again from a football standpoint. Cam Newton, really good 1 year, won the MVP, got to the Super Bowl and lost his injuries, and we don't really hear from him anymore. I really hope that doesn't happen to Lamar Jackson, where he has this really, really good year, gets to the Super Bowl and loses, has a few injuries, and then we don't hear from him again. Because it fits the mold of the running quarterback way too much.
I would hate to see it.
It would suck. But I'm not saying that's going to happen, obviously. He could get to the Super Bowl and win and throw for 250 and run for 100. But it ran through my head today, and I couldn't get it out.
I wanted to talk about Lamar from a different aspect. I think he's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
I love him. I think he's an MVP candidate. If Russell Wilson doesn't... Right now, I think Russ is the MVP. Lamar is the Offensive Player of the Year. That's how I would tee it up. I know it's going to be tough to leave Christian McCaffrey off of one of those awards, but them's the breaks.
NFC. He can get NFC Offensive Player of the Year.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay. I forgot that award is divided. Right. But that's kind of just where I sit with things. And the other thing is I started seeing takes today on Twitter. Somebody said that Lamar Jackson is better than Michael Vick ever was.
No.
Do people not realize that Michael Vick averaged 7 yards a carry for his career? I get that Lamar's really good.
He's amazing.
He's incredible. I love watching him play.
These are designed runs, though. Michael Vick could do it. He'd take a slant route. Okay, it's not there. Let me get out of the pocket and go 90 yards.
Michael Vick was the most insane talent I think I've ever seen play football. That's people get carried away and forget how freaking good Michael Vick was at football.
Michael Vick's also 3 inches shorter than Lamar Jackson.
I do think there's a chance if Lamar never gets hurt and he stays healthy for his career and he does this for years.
The yards will go past Vick, probably.
I think he has a chance to be the better player because he's a better thrower.
For sure. Well, I don't know, man. Vick could launch it too.
Vick could launch, but I think Lamar's a little more accurate and a little more polished. I think
that's a tough debate. I don't know about that one. Maybe by the end of his career he could be, but Vick was a pretty good passer.
This thing we do now where we have these hyperbolic takes about this player's better than X is better than X ever was, and it's you need to take a step back and remember just how good
he was. A cheat code. It was legitimately Lamar Jackson is amazing. That spin move against Cincinnati, all these things, he's incredibly shifty all the time. He's an amazing runner. But those are there's misdirection before the snap. There's a lot of things to throw the defense off, design to get him in space and do those things. Michael Vick would drop back 3 steps, and if it wasn't there, he could score a touchdown on his own. It was unreal.
So I just wanted to get to that because I love Lamar, but the takes are getting a little out of control.
Let's just pump the brakes. If Michael Vick never tore that ACL or fought dogs, then we're talking about an entirely different situation.
It sounds wild to ask this question about a 9-1 football team, but is it fair and right to be concerned about the Patriots?
No, no. I'm gonna say no. Just because they're 9-1 and they're them and their defense gave up 10 points today to a pretty good team.
Their defense was incredible today.
I'm not worried. Like I know Brady missed 14 passes in the first half and he probably had his worst game in 3-4 years. But no, I'm not worried.
They get their left tackle back next week. Yeah. I have to imagine that helps.
N'Keal Harry will be good eventually, right?
Because this Newhouse at left tackle. Ooh,
Marshall.
Boy, does he stink. Oh, my goodness, does he stink. He is, honest to God, one of the worst professional left tackles I think I have ever watched.
I mean, I'll trade you Taylor Decker for him if you want.
No, but I'm telling you, he's Taylor Decker, Eric Flowers. Like, he's bad. Bad.
He's not good.
So getting Wynn back, I think, is going to be huge for the Patriots. And then where else did I want to go around? Oh,
the Arizona their other left tackle back week 14, right?
Listen, we got to stay away from that. Rumor has it that Rob Gronkowski is.
Well, he said that himself months ago.
He said it on Pizza Review with. Pardon my take. I think he said it on a Pizza Review too. That week 14 is the right time for him to come back. He has posted on Instagram and posted all these things on Facebook hinting towards a comeback, which is probably just him dropping a protein shake line.
Yeah, something's coming.
But it is the announcement was
new line of tracksuits.
There's going to be a major announcement at Tuesday and at 9 a.m. Let's go were the final words of his story. So if
it said no days off, I would have thought he was coming back.
You do start to wonder, is Rob Gronkowski going to make that return? If he does, the Patriots' run blocking all of a sudden becomes one of the best in the league. Offensively, Brady has a guy he's trusted probably the most of anyone not named Randy Moss. Yeah. I think they become instantly the favorite. They are already.
I still think they'll beat Baltimore or Kansas City, whoever it is. It'd be great if one of those eliminated the other.
Tony Romo said it on the broadcast today. If the road to the Super Bowl goes through Foxborough and you have to go there and play them with this defense, good luck.
Yeah. I mean, that's... Again, I love Lamar Jackson, but I'm not betting on him in that game. Or Patrick Mahomes.
The other way I wanted to go with things were... San Francisco won the game.
Kyler Murray's awesome.
What a performance from Kyler Murray. Oh my goodness. That kid's for real.
Yeah, if they had any kind of defense down the lake, they scored from 25 yards out on that.
Colin Cowherd was all worried at the beginning of the season because of tip balls, the line of scrimmage. Doesn't matter, dude.
Those were glaring at the beginning. I hate to give Colin Cowherd any kind of pass, but after that first game, I was like, damn, he got a lot of balls batted down. But no, I mean, the guy is electric.
He's incredible. Yeah. He's so much fun to watch.
Absolutely.
He can make plays happen with his feet.
For sure.
I wouldn't call him a runner, but man, does he make plays happen.
He's with a good head coach. For him.
They know the system. They like each other. Yeah, mm-hmm. I think it works great. The other thing is San Francisco and Jimmy Garoppolo being clutch in the fourth quarter is kind of what we've all been waiting to see out of San Francisco was put this on Jimmy G and make him win the game. He did it today.
Yeah.
A lot of credit to him. I mean, it took their defense really to win the game, but
he had a couple throws today that were not so hot, but at the end when they needed him.
In the fourth quarter, he got them down and he tied it, and then they got the defensive play to win the game. So it ended up being great.
You want to talk about the rambling, gambling comeback, man? Kirk Cousins himself.
Oh, my goodness. Actually, yes, because I tweeted the second half of that football game, Kirk Cousins was incredible.
Amazing.
Incredible.
It was fun.
It was the best Kirk Cousins performance I've seen maybe at least since the Redskins and maybe since Michigan State. He was awesome.
He was
today.
Great. He really was. I can't believe they won that game.
They were down 23-0.
Yeah. First time ever a team's been losing by 20 in the second half and won a game.
It was electric. And Stephon Diggs to go from not having a catch in the first half to 4 for 112 and a touchdown in the second.
Made a lot of fantasy owners happy.
unbelievable game by the Vikings today. It made me feel good.
Their defense held up in the second half, too.
As much as I dig Kirk Cousins, it made me feel good to see a Spartan do that.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
It did make me
warms
feel
your heart
good.
a little.
So other than that, I mean, the NFL kind of... I don't want to say chalky, but it was a boring day.
Yeah.
It was a lot of bad games.
There were some mid-afternoon naps.
I could see you napping through Patriots and Eagles. The offenses were terrible.
The first half, for sure.
10 straight punts in the second half. Awful.
Them too.
All right, let's get into the basketball side of things. And I don't want to talk too much. I want to talk some Pistons. I don't want to talk about the Celtics. That'll make the listeners happy, I'm sure. I don't want to talk about...
It's a weird day for the Celtics today.
Man, that ball sat on the rim for an hour. That ball sat on the rim for
Buddy
an
Hield
hour.
just like... I don't like when
35
Buddy Hield
points
just
for Buddy
starts
Hield.
killing people like that. Like, just don't do that.
Bogey got hot right at the end of the game. It was, hey, you can't win them all. 10-2, you're not terrible.
Yeah.
Tied for the best team in the league. What are you going to do? I don't want to talk about the Celtics.
Yeah, we're not
so don't
talking
get
about
us
the
talking about the Celtics. I don't want to touch on the Heat. I don't want to talk about the Bucks too much. We'll get to them. It's a long season. I want to start with the most panicked fan base on Twitter and the most panicked fan base probably in the NBA right now, the Philadelphia 76ers. What the hell happened after a 5-0 start?
I mean, the wheels fell off, but it seems too easy to just say the wheels fell off. Like, because you saw that the bolts weren't tight at the beginning, and you just rode anyways. And you're like, hey, we're 5-0, wheels are looking good. And then all of a sudden the wheels fell off. And they're like, oh, wait, this was supposed to happen. Because everybody knew your offense was going to have problems. You're way too big. You got too many ball handlers that can't shoot. Like, it just doesn't work. It doesn't fit.
And I said it when they beat the Celtics, was like they were going to have to live in transition and at the free throw line, because when a defense is able to slow them down and make them play in the half court, the offense felt stagnant, confused, lost. That's only gotten worse. I mean, they cannot figure out how to get Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to coexist offensively.
I swear to God, watch the other four guys on the floor when Tobias Harris puts the ball down. They don't know what to do. Like, they look around at each other like, should we fade to the corner? Ben Simmons wants to go to the dunker spot, but Embiid's already there, or Horford's already there. Well, where does Ben Simmons go? Josh Richardson's trying to get a screen from him. Like, they don't know what to do when their most expensive player puts the ball down and goes to the rim. The other four guys have no idea what to do.
It is kind of funny that I think, like, and I want to get into Ben Simmons a lot, because I think a lot of the problems really come from he won't shoot.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. You can't space when one guy won't shoot.
But it's going to have to at some point, like hindsight's 2020 type of thing. At some point, we're going to have to talk about how Elton Brand decided to trade all of their perimeter players for rentals in Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler, and then decided to only pay the one of those that can't self-create.
Yeah, and let JJ Redick walk out for nothing.
It's like we are going to have to relitigate exactly what went down this summer. I think when they got Al Horford, everybody kind of, and I did it as a bit, but I think a lot of people jumped on it as like, oh my God, they have so much talent. Now they have the only guy who could stop them. And what's going to happen? The only guy who could stop Joel Embiid is now playing with Joel Embiid. This team's going to be incredible.
Right.
There were reasonable people who questioned how this was going to work in the half court. How were they going to have that many big bodies? People were excited, though. And it's like now you're starting to see they paid Al Horford and Tobias Harris when maybe they should have paid Jimmy Butler. And that
they tried to pay Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler wanted to be in Miami. Like,
they didn't. Did they try to pay Jimmy Butler?
Yeah, they offered him a max.
Did they offer him the full?
I think it was 4. I think it was
they
a
gave
4-year
him
max.
like the lower. Like I think he might have stayed. I know now he's talking about there were problems nobody wants to talk about. Right. Those will come out. We know what those problems are, but
we're pretty certain of what those problems were. I think they were sitting courtside in their own custom jersey last year.
If you had like decided, all right, let's just let Toby walk, and then Jimmy, what do you want us to do for you to stay here? Like Jimmy Butler was truly the most important piece for them to keep.
He was their closer down every stretch of every playoff series they were in. He was the closer.
I have Sixers fans I've seen on Twitter now saying Jimmy Butler has a better Sixers career than Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons combined. And it sounds harsh, but I think it's true. Like,
Simmons made an all-star team. Butler never made one in Philly. I guess, but it was literally half a year. So Harris, yes. Better than Tobias Harris, unquestionably right now.
Who has been awful this year.
Really bad. Like 24.5% from three. Really bad.
You talk about a summer for guys getting paid. Chris Middleton got paid.
And
Tobias Harris got paid. Jamal Murray got paid. And all three of them early returns.
Yeah.
Horrible
Good day
contracts.
for Jamal Murray, but he's not even getting paid yet. He's going to be paid.
I mean, you look at Ben Simmons,
Who's also going to be paid.
The early returns on these deals are atrocious.
That's another reason I said this to you earlier. Like, there's no way Tobias Harris can be on the team next year when Ben Simmons' salary goes up that much. There's no way. They have to move him.
And that's where I don't think, like, one or the other.
Right,
I think
exactly.
there's no chance that next year Ben and Tobias are on the team.
Way too much money.
It'll either be Tobias or Ben.
Yeah.
There's no way that both of them can be. It's very clear that Elton Brand believes Joel Embiid is the path to winning a championship. So if you're going to move somebody, I think you have to move Ben. I don't know if there's any way Ben and Joel can coexist offensively.
That team needs a 3-and-D wing so bad. And they have one in Josh Richardson, but they need like either a point guard who isn't Ben Simmons or a 3-and-D wing. So like just somebody to shoot the ball and play defense.
I'm going to ask you a question. It's about the future of the Sixers, and I think it's going to really throw you. How many years of basketball does Joel Embiid have left in his body?
What is he, 25?
But you think about the injuries that he's sustained and the way his body already is quitting on him. How many years of basketball does Joel Embiid have left at the MVP level?
Turns 26 in March.
That he can play.
At the MVP level?
At his absolute prime, best ability to play basketball, how many years does he have left? I think
Tops?
like 4 or 5.
I was going to say top 6. Right? That takes him to 31.
That might be long. That might be generous. I don't know. Like at 31,
That's tops.
If you get the injury trajectory that he's on right now, 31 seems...
They're in their window. Like, they're in their window, which they're so young that they probably shouldn't be, but they're in their window.
And that's kind of my point is, like, they need to realize, and this is on Elton Brand, and I don't know that Elton Brand's the guy to realize this. He needs to realize that you're in your window right now, and if you believe your window is Joel Embiid, this is the time to capitalize.
He has to be their best player for them to win. That's without question.
If that means you need to trade Ben Simmons for a true point guard, like a truer point guard who can shoot a 3, you might need to go all in. You might need to make that decision that, hey, we locked up Ben, and that makes him that makes him enticing enough for Portland to give us Dame or CJ McCollum. And that might put you over the top if you're Philly.
You know what might be good? They had Markelle Fultz at 18 and a game winner tonight to beat Washington, and is playing decently well. He's not shooting. They need a shooter, so it wouldn't really solve their problems, but it wouldn't hurt.
So then this is the other side of things if you're the Sixers, is you're 5-0, and everybody's calling the process like this unmitigated success. Like they didn't draft Nerlens Noel and totally fuck it up. Like they didn't draft Markelle Fultz.
Traded Drew Holiday for
totally fuck it up. You traded Drew Holiday to get that Nerlens pick. Like you didn't make all these mistakes every single
one.
Didn't they draft Okafor too?
Yeah, they did.
Like we're talking
third overall.
How many draft picks have you failed on?
You want a really fun one? I bet most people forget this one. 11th overall, 2013. One Rookie of the Year, Michael Carter Williams.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
That same draft as Noel. They had the 6th and they had the 11th. They took Noel. He couldn't play for a year. And Michael Carter Williams won Rookie of the Year on a team that I think won 14 games.
I mean, you start to look at the process, and I want to just explain to people what the process was, because
I think they won 14 games that year. I have to look that up.
There are plenty of Pistons fans. This is how I localize this, Kevin. This is good radio.
Well done.
there are plenty of Pistons fans that use the process as an example for why the Pistons should tank. People need to understand that the process was a political play by Hinkie and the Sixers organization to run a team on the cheap for 5 years and keep their fans as invested as possible. They got lucky, they got Joel Embiid, and it worked out long term, and Ben Simmons worked out long term. But make no mistake, the reason they were competitive was not because they were bad for that many years. It was because they then made the move to get Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris and go all in.
Exactly. And I apologize to Michael Carter-Williams. They won 19 games that year, not 14. I docked them 5 wins. But if we're going to talk about the Pistons and tanking, the Sixers decided to do this off a playoff year. They made the playoffs in 2012-13 with Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday made the All-Star team, and they made the playoffs. Doug Collins was the head coach, and they were okay. The Pistons should have done that in 2009. But they decided to trade Chauncey Billups for a player that was older than him. Like, they have been delaying the tank for literally a decade. Like, you should have traded Chauncey for something that wasn't Allen Iverson if you were going to trade Chauncey. Then you let the other people just walk away for whatever. You gave Sheed to, I think, the Knicks eventually or something like that. And they got nothing for any of that core. And then, when you should go in the tank, the team gets sold. And the owner just buys a brand new team and doesn't want to go in the tank. So he hires Stan Van Gundy. And in 2012, the year that the NBA inevitably changes because Steph Curry's healthy for a year, you draft a center. And you go from there by trading Brandon Jennings, who was on an Achilles, I get it, or bringing in Reggie Jackson and doing these things to just completely stay mediocre forever and delay the tank. And now, when you have something that might be an asset and might be worth something, any Pistons fan who says we should not go in the tank because we just made the playoffs, look at what Philly did. They did it off a playoff year because they knew they weren't going to be good anymore. Just do it now. Don't wait anymore. It has been a decade when you blew this thing, when you had a core to rebuild with young pieces, and you traded the best player for a player who was older than him. Don't do that again. Don't wait. Just do it. Just get everyone. It's none of their fault. Don't blame Blake. Don't blame Andre. And I don't mean to rant, but I can't stop right now.
Yeah, I like it.
Just do it. Don't delay it. Get rid of all of them and start the tank. You can't be good until you blow it up.
Just as an aside, I was listening to old clips from Valenti and Foster, and
classic show.
Terry Foster brought up when he talked to Joe Dumars about trading for Allen Iverson, and Joe Dumars told him that the reason they did it was because when they were good and they were getting ripped on the radio, at least they were getting ripped, he'd realized the fan base was apathetic and nobody cared anymore, so he had to do something.
Yeah.
And so he went and got Allen Iverson. But my point broader about tanking, I do think the Pistons should realize that right now you have an asset in Andre Drummond and you have an asset in Blake Griffin. And
you even have an asset in Derrick Rose.
Yeah, I mean, Luke Kennard is a piece
at least
that
to get off a contract.
Luke Kennard's a piece that is showing you can build around him, and
at least a little. Like, he can be a building block.
You don't try to outsmart everybody and keep drafting like middle tier Euro guys that you think are going to be great. Shout out Sekou. Yeah. But I do like. I think they're at a point at 4-9 right now where they are playing such bad basketball.
They're terrible.
They are the least fun watch to me in the NBA. Them and the Knicks are the least fun watch on a nightly basis to me. At least the Knicks had something in booing Kristaps Porzingis that was fun. But I do think, like, if you don't want to say tank just because of the optics of that, like, we're going to try to lose, then don't say tank. If it makes you feel better, don't say it. But it might be time to realize that you have assets in Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond and Derrick Rose that you can turn into things to build for the future. You could turn into, if Portland believes they can win with Blake, you could turn him into an Anthony Simons or a Zach Collins or a pick. You have the ability to do these things. My point with Philly was that they went the wrong way about it because they called it the process when really it was just the ownership group wanted to run a team on the cheap for a few years after making the playoffs.
Get some new investors.
5 years in, 6 years in, however long it took, once they have actual pieces in place to compete, now we'll spend $580 million.
Right.
That's kind of where the Pistons are right now, is like, understand what you have is good, just not for you.
Good enough to get something better eventually for. Like, I mean, you mentioned those three guys. Langston Galloway is playing great basketball.
Yeah.
You could get a pick for Langston Galloway. Tony Snell. You could get a pick for Tony Snell right now. He's on an expiring. Like, just be smart.
I mean, Andre Drummond is a big that he could go to a team that desperately needs a big. I mean, I'm not going to call him anything great. Like, I think that his skill set is incredibly overvalued for what's working in today's NBA. There are teams that could use him.
If Atlanta stays in the playoff mix, they should be doing everything they can to get Andre Drummond.
Absolutely. And it's on the Pistons to understand that and make the deal and make your
give me Cam Reddish, please, now.
Better.
Like,
yeah, why? I mean, I don't know that they would move Cam Reddish, but why not?
They got a plethora. Yeah, I don't know either, but they have other guys too. Like if they stay in the playoff picture to go get a center, it would cost a Reddish or a Herter or a Hunter or a somebody, whoever. I think they have. Didn't they pick like 11th? Who they get 11th? I guess that was Cam
Reddish.
Yeah. There you go. Jabari Parker, whoever. Playing well, by the way, Jabari Parker.
Well, on one end.
Yeah, that's fair. That's very fair.
I mean, that's like talking about Andrew Wiggins playing well. He's taking,
oh, you took it. I was going to tell you my most improved guy later. It's Andrew Wiggins.
It helps that he takes half his possessions.
It's true, but he's playing great on offense right now, man. Like, way better than I've seen him play.
House. Is Andrew Wiggins having a moment?
Like,
Is Andrew Wiggins good? No, back to the Sixers just for a second. Yeah. I keep waiting for the Bill Simmons pod to drop when he asks House earnestly, House, was Al Horford the problem in Boston? Did we get off Al Horford? House.
Oh, my God. He will, too.
House, are the Celtics having a moment?
He will.
Speaking of last year's Celtics, how about the Nets winning without Kyrie?
Hey, now. Without Kyrie, without Karras, they're better when Dinwiddie gets to be the guy.
Speaking of a player who you just feel terrible for, God, I wish Karis LeVert weren't made of glass.
Just a little China doll.
So, yeah, basically, the Ben Simmons thing is also what I want to talk about because, holy shit, dude, learn to shoot a basketball.
Take a step. You can't take the step if you don't just move your feet. You don't even have to take the step. Act like you're going to one pump fake.
It's... For a guy who posts more off-season workout videos than any other player I can think, I mean, Melo.
No.
That's it.
That's the only one.
And Melo's only posted him because he didn't have a job until last week.
You didn't see him all year. He had to get his shots up.
Speaking of which, good for Melo to get a job.
I'm so hype.
I can't wait.
I pulled my hood up right away when I saw the tweet.
But the deal with Ben, like... At what point is the organization just going to stop kowtowing to this guy and eventually just go, dude, you've been in the league for 3 years now, and you really haven't made a single meaningful development in your game?
I think part of it is Brett Brown. Like, you have to look at him and think, the guy's been there so long that there's a point where the coach who developed them doesn't get to see, like a Dwayne Casey, what he did in Toronto. It just had to be somebody else. And I get they got Kawhi, whatever. Maybe that's a poor example, but... It's got to be somebody else who can come in and tell Ben Simmons, like, everything you've done is great, but you're not great. So you need to add this.
And I think it's like, one of my friends put it really nicely is, if Danny Ainge were the general manager of the Sixers, he would be grabbing Brett Brown by the collar, screaming at him, fix Ben Simmons.
Yeah, probably.
Like, you need top to bottom people. Elton Brand was on record long before he needed to be saying, we won't even have a discussion. We're going to give Ben Simmons the rookie max.
Repeatedly that wasn't a discussion.
I mean, that's every step of the way. This kid has been empowered as the future of the Philadelphia 76ers. They've been so committed to Joel Embiid, but then they turn and they're like, Ben Simmons is our guy, though.
Draft Joel Embiid #1 overall.
And I think that's part of why, like Jimmy Butler said, the drama we know what it was. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid don't get along. And that friction probably exists because Joel has been told he's the process, he's the answer, he's the guy.
You love to hear it's like, we have nothing in common. Two foreign-born players, both date supermodels who look similar to a lot of other things. You have a lot in common. You just don't like each other.
You also play on the same team.
Yeah,
like
you live
you're
in the same city. You're roughly the same age. You have a lot in common. You kind of don't like each other. That's okay. You don't have to like all the people you work with, but like make it work.
But I do think like Joel Embiid is a mercurial talent, and
For sure.
he's also conducive to your team winning basketball games.
He is your team. Like, you're not going anywhere if he isn't your best player.
Ben Simmons is a mercurial talent. Ben Simmons might be the best pure talent I've ever seen play basketball. But
there.
I don't think he's conducive to winning. The way he is right now, I don't think he's conducive to winning.
God, he'd be so conducive to winning in 1999, though. Like, holy
Right.
shit. But just, like, you got to shoot. It's 2019. You got to shoot the ball. There's no, you can't be like, oh, well, he'll just keep going. No, look at Russell Westbrook. You can put pressure on the rim from 45 feet out, but if you can't shoot the ball, your team isn't going to get out of the first round.
Look at Giannis.
Yeah, you got to shoot.
I mean, and even Giannis has a willingness, but like that's where if Ben Simmons is on a better team than Giannis is on, if Ben Simmons has the willingness to shoot, he doesn't even need to make 30%.
You have
he
to
needs
take
to. He can attempt 3 and convert on 20% of them, and we're talking about just the fact that you have to at least acknowledge he will take that shot.
Exactly.
But we're talking about a guy who has all these mid-season, off-season workout videos shooting threes. The one the other night pregame when he missed like 6 in a row was hilarious. But then he gets spot-up attempts in the corner, and he's like, no, thank you. I want nothing to do with it. It's ridiculous.
It's like, I'm trying to think of a good way to characterize. I don't have a good way to characterize. I just think that so much, everybody thinks, oh, it's the shooting renaissance in the NBA. It's so much more of the spacing renaissance.
Yeah, it's
they're
not the
not
shooting
playing the
renaissance.
game in a phone booth anymore, which means defenders can't stay in a phone booth and pack the paint and take that away. They have to space. And when Ben Simmons out there, they don't have to space. Like, no one has to pay attention to him when he fades to the corner. No one has to pay attention to him when he's out on the wing. You don't care that he's there. He's not going to do anything. He can't hurt you.
That's a really good point about it being a spacing renaissance, because it is like people just assume Steph Curry changed the way basketball is played because he shot the 3 really well. That's part of it. But what he really did was showed that spaces on the floor that people previously thought were not spots that offense could come from actually are spots that offense could come from.
Valuable offense.
Yeah, it's dude, if Damian Lillard converts 28% of his attempts from the hash,
shoot it.
That's better than converting 40% from the elbow.
Exactly.
And it's like that's kind of what people are learning. With Ben Simmons on the floor, you're not even getting the 40% from the elbow.
No, you won't shoot from the elbow.
And that's where it becomes an issue, because you're not a threat from the hash. You're not a threat from the elbow. You're not really a threat from the low block unless you're posting somebody up. Without the ball in your hands, you're not a threat at all.
It's like a good transition into Houston. It's like when James Harden doesn't have the ball. It's like the same thing with Simmons, but at least with Harden, you kind of have to pay attention to him even if he's floating out at half court. It makes Russell Westbrook's life easier,
right?
Because even if Harden's not going to do anything, and you know he's not going to do anything, the threat of him shooting from 35 feet is still very real.
Right.
Like, there just needs to be the threat for Ben Simmons that he's going to do something. But when he's out there and he doesn't have the ball, who the hell cares?
And again, I want to stress, we're not even talking about the threat from 35
No,
feet. I'm talking
18
about
feet.
I'm talking about the threat from 22 in the corner.
Anything.
I mean, we're not. I don't need him at the hash. He needs to be willing to pull from the low block on a mid-range jump shot. He needs to be willing to
Get a 16-foot floater. Get something.
Open spot up in the corner and pull it up. You don't even have to make it.
Like, all right, you don't want to shoot from the corner, fine. Develop a game that allows you to pump fake, take 2 dribbles in, and hit a 15-foot floater. Like, you can't do that? You're 6'10". How can you not hit a 15-foot floater if you're that good? You're so skilled you can thread a needle from 75 feet with a pass, but you can't hit a 16-foot floater? That should be in your game. Like, that should be in your game.
I'm at a point now where, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, I don't see how Philly can possibly win with Ben Simmons in his current form.
I can't wait for December 15th. I think it's almost going to be like July 1st. Maybe not exactly to that extent because it probably won't all happen right at one time on December 15th. But December 15th through December 30th is probably going to be electric in the NBA with trades.
Well, and then you talk about the trade deadline. What, third week of February is going to be insane.
Yeah.
But no, I do think you're going to see maybe on December 15th. I do not believe that Enes Kanter is long for Boston. I do not believe.
I thought we were talking about the Celtics.
Well, I'm just saying from a trade point, I do not believe that he's long for Boston.
He's trash.
And that's a guy to keep an eye out because whether it's a buyout or whatever, he's going to be on the move. I think you start to see people might start shopping Ben Simmons or JoJo and see, hey, is there a way? Toby, is there a way we can get one of these guys?
Get shopped.
Blake and Andre, you better believe, are going to be
if they get to 20 losses before they win 10 games, they should not be on the team by the 40-game mark. Like, in the next 10 games, they should be gone.
I don't trust Gores to get on the phone and shop these guys, but you better believe that what's his name? Stefanski, he'll be fielding calls.
Oh, they'll be ringing. Like, it will be ringing, especially if Blake Griffin's playing well. He's kind of started slow, but can't blame him off an injury. Like, Drummond has not started slow.
He's been
contract
fantastic.
year Andre Drummond, and also quick shout out contract year Tristan Thompson, spicy. Like,
you look at the 5-8 Portland Trailblazers, Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Despite having just gotten paid, that actually kind of helps their asset liability.
Yeah, I'm locked up.
If Portland decides that they believe the future is in the far distance instead of they're still in their window, which I don't believe they are anymore. One of those two may be on the move, if not both.
It isn't CJ and or Dame both are going to have a trade kicker that kicks in when that new contract starts too. So it's beneficial to Portland to move them before those contract starts.
You start looking at the San Antonio Spurs, LaMarcus Aldridge, another guy who might be on the move.
They're just so weird to me. I don't get it. They've got to make a move.
And the Grizzlies at 5-8. I mean, I don't know who they moved since they already sold everyone in the offseason.
Well, they have one very big piece left to move or buy out or whatever the hell is going to happen.
In Valanciunas?
Iguodala.
Oh, that too.
Yeah, like, I don't know what they do with that. We'll see. I would imagine that they want to lose. Like,
you would think.
I don't know why they'd want to win.
Their pick, their first this year goes to Boston.
Right.
If it's outside of the top 6,
right.
I would imagine they want to lose.
They're not
going to
be a playoff team, so that's falling between 6 and 14 if you're like decent in the lot. Like, I guess, New Orleans should have got the 10th pick or whatever, and they end up with the first pick. Like, anything can happen in the lottery, but I would think you would want more ping pong balls.
You start looking at the sellers, the Atlantas. Brooklyn.
Oh, don't sleep on Atlanta yet. They
Brooklyn
might not sell.
At 4-8 or 5-7, whatever they are. Is that a team that really starts looking? Karis LeVert, they can't move.
No, that's.
But
tough.
is that a team that really starts to look at what can we get for Jared Allen?
If they, the very thought of that at the end of last year is utter lunacy. Like, to think we have this great young building block center. What can we get for him? That's crazy. Like,
but it doesn't seem
I guess if you're going to give DeAndre 4 for 40, you might as well move the kid.
I think when they got Kyrie and Kevin Durant, everybody was like, wow.
Everything changed.
This is incredible. This is going to be amazing. This team had all these young pieces, and now they're there. It's now.
Forget all that we needed. But
it's almost... I feel like they might have fucked up their rebuild.
Oh, for sure. The rebuild's gone. Like, they went away from the rebuild.
It's very much
the rebuild
now
is over. We're going a different route now. Give us the best scorer maybe that ever lived on an Achilles injury and his lunatic best friend, and let's try and make this thing work. And sign the crazy uncle too for $40 million.
Did you see Kyrie pushing? I can't remember who it was, but he took someone and shoved them into a rotation.
I did not.
Oh my God! I got to find the clip. I'll show you after the show. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Leadership by example,
Classic.
like he says. But you start looking at then all these teams are sellers, right? You start looking at the buyers. The Houston Rockets are going to be in the market for a wing.
Oh man, are they going to be in the market for a wing? God, do they need one?
You talk about a team that's really going to be, and I don't even know who that wing is right now. I can think of all the bigs that I think are going to be on the market. I'm struggling to think of the hot big name wings.
I can think of one wing scorer who will be on the market in February if it continues to be the way it is. And I have been holding out for this kid to be an all-star and a great scorer forever, and I just don't think it's going to happen. But he's got an attractive enough contract that somebody's going to take a chance on him, and it's Zach LaVine. And God forbid it's the Houston Rockets because you put Zach LaVine on that team, and yeah, it'd be electric on offense. He'd get up and down with Westbrook, and it'd be a lot of fun, but that defense would be laughably atrocious.
It sucks that the Bulls were supposed to be fun.
Lauri Markkanen's lost. Lost. Completely unaware of where he should be, and I can't blame him because Jim Boylan is his head coach.
They got to fire Jim Boylan.
They just hired him.
They got to fire Jim
I can't believe they hired him. When they did that, I was like, what are they thinking? Okay, let's bring Chris Fleming in and redesign the offense. No. Just why did you do that?
I know that they just signed him to a huge deal, and that was I'm talking about a different guy now, but okay. I know they just signed him to a huge deal, and he says he wants to be there. Is there a chance that Washington at 3-8 moves off Brad Beal?
They were so committed to not trading him. Like this summer, I can't imagine how many times their phone rang this summer. Like they were so committed to not doing it that to doing it now, like they didn't think they were going to be good, right? Like they signed Isaiah. Your point guards were Isaiah and Ish Smith. You didn't think you were going to be good,
That's a
right?
Rough start.
Like, so you gave up 159 in the first week of the season. Like you knew you weren't going to be good. So I think Beal is there for at least a little bit of the long haul, right? I can't think they'd move off him that
It'd be
quickly.
wild to see them move off of him this year,
Yeah.
I think. Maybe in a couple years, like if John Wall comes back and it's clear that he's not going to be the player he was.
Right. Then you got to get something for Beal because you're going to go down the tank.
Does Charlotte, like if they keep being playoff fringe area,
Devontae Graham, man.
I mean, are they a team that eventually is like, let's move off Malik Monk, or is this a team that's just like
game winner the other night against the Pistons? That's how bad the Pistons are, guys. Malik Monk, sinking game winners.
Malik Monk could be a Piston, to be fair, but Charlotte was the buyout target.
Yeah.
They were the buyout
For
pipeline
sure.
team. They're an 8 seed right now.
The
Like
Pistons
they're playing
should be the
decent
buyout
basketball.
pipeline right now. It should be the Pistons.
I mean,
Get off your money and then give us your bad money.
I would say the Knicks, but they have too many one-year contracts. It does seem like the Pistons are.
The Knicks lost a
kind of-
heartbreaker to the Hornets the night after the Pistons lost a heartbreaker to the Hornets.
It does seem like the Pistons are really the team to like get off their bad money. I mean, New Orleans has too much youth. They can't be the buyout pipeline.
New Orleans, there's another guy who could. JJ Redick could get moved. Like that's a December 15th one.
Washington was too committed to Brad Beal to be the pipeline market.
Yep.
I mean, it really does. The Pistons at this point, I hate to say it.
Sacramento, I guess, has been good at doing that.
Maybe the Bulls, but like the Pistons
Reinsdorf
really...
is not Reinsdorf. They did that like 2 years ago with Omer Sheik, and he threw a fit. There's no way he's doing it again.
God, I hate to say it, but the Pistons do feel like the perfect candidate.
They should be.
And honestly, I wouldn't even hate it.
No, I mean Cleveland could do it if somebody says we'll give you picks and a bad contract for Love. Tristan Thompson again is having a heck of a year, or a heck of a 14 games, whatever it is, to start the season.
Boy, I tell you, that's a guy I wouldn't mind seeing in Boston.
Yeah, I mean there are no Kardashians in Boston, so you're good there. You're safe.
There are in Philly, at least one, from time to time. Yeah, I just... Who's the team you think needs to make a trade the most right now?
Playoff team wise?
Yeah.
I gotta say with San Antonio, just because I just don't get it. Like I could go Philly, but I feel like we'd just be harping on it.
Is San Antonio a playoff team?
Can you doubt them at this point? Like they shouldn't have been last year. They made the playoffs, right? Like it's Pop and he'll figure it out. And I just like
he did get tossed last night. And Tim
play,
Duncan was on the bench coaching the team.
Just like do me a favor and play those three guards together once. Just like I want to see it. They won't play them together. They won't do it, and I don't get it. Like I want to see it just a little bit. I just think when you're so mid-range heavy oriented and your best two players are mid-range, you got to move one of them. And DeMar, I mean, I don't know that I've heard anything really groundbreaking, but you've heard whispers about DeMar DeRozan in the trade block to start the year. Everybody's been hearing those. Like there are a lot of teams.
I would say DeMar is the player I've seen in jersey swaps the most.
Oh yeah, all over Instagram. Like, I've seen an Orlando one. I've seen a Pistons one. Yeah, like Orlando's another one. They thought they were going to be a lot better this year. They made the playoffs last year, even though they didn't win that many games. They made the playoffs last year and thought we're taking another step. We're re-signing Vucevic. Our young guys are good. I could tell you right now, Steve Clifford does not want to play Mo Bamba anymore. There is no way he wants Mo Bamba as his backup center. He would love to be playing Kevin Birch.
Do we think the Suns are good?
Yeah, like not like great, but like I'm not laughing at the Suns like I always was.
I feel like they really are a playoff team.
You think they'll make a trade? But I don't
know if they like. They're so young.
I don't know what they need yet. Like, well, I know what they need, but
Cat.
they can't get that. Like,
Cat.
Minnesota's not going to. That's what I'm saying. Like, they can't get it. They can't do it because.
I mean, if Karl Anthony Towns walks into his general manager's office and asks nicely, it will get done.
No, but he wouldn't do it. He loves Ryan Saunders. He would not do that.
Ryan Saunders deserves a lot of credit for how well they've been playing.
He's committed to Minnesota and he's committed to Ryan Saunders. Cat is not going to ask out. If, and this is a big if, because we talked about Wiggins for a second, if they decide we're going to sell high on Wiggins and somebody calls, a desperate team like a Charlotte says, here's Nick Batum and a pick, or here's Nick Batum and Devontae. We need a star, so we're taking our chance on Wiggins at 26 a night or whatever he's at right now.
Is there a team like? I wonder if anyone is buying into this enough to take on that money.
Would Charlotte shock you if they could get off Batum? If they had to give up a first in Batum?
Michael Jordan's not the smartest guy, but I don't know if he's.
Yeah, but Mitch Kupchak's even dumber.
Oh,
That's the one team that I could think of right away that'd be like, man, they're that desperate for a star. Could they give up? Because Minnesota doesn't necessarily need him. Like, he's playing well, and they've developed him. Like, not Gerson Rosas. He was not there to develop him, but they have. Ryan Saunders has been there, and they have developed Andrew Wiggins. He's finally showing a little bit more than what I would call a flash. Maybe, I don't know, what's a step up from a flash? Whatever that is. He's showing that. Do you sell high if somebody calls, or do you say, no, we're riding it out?
No, I'd sell high.
I would sell high for sure.
I would sell high.
Like, he's not Gerson Rosas' guy. I would sell high for sure. I just pray to God it's not the Pistons.
It selfishly does kind of suck. Oh, it could be too. It does.
Because that's the other way the Pistons could go, guys.
It does suck kind of for me that Phoenix and Minnesota both are good because I was really hoping for the Booker Cat reunion this year, but I don't see it happening anymore.
Denver's another one sneakily that could make a trade. There's a lot of guys not playing.
Is Golden State going to ship D'Lo with how well he's playing and the fact that they are trash?
Like, they're taking him out.
They're full tank.
I kind of want to see what it would look like to start next year. Like, if they have Clay and they have Steph and they have Draymond and they have D'Lo and now they have an Eric Pascal and they have a year of Jordan Poole, who I don't think is very good, but it is what it is.
He doesn't look very good.
No. And they get a high draft pick and they take the kid whose name I'm forgetting from Georgia, who's supposed to be really good as a big man. Sure, maybe. Or they get a Wiseman from Memphis, or they get a whoever who's a big man, because the kid from Georgia's not a big man, is he?
I can't even.
It's somebody,
put
whoever.
My finger
they
on the
get
wheel
they get a legitimate
I wasn't
five.
prepped for college,
right? They get a legitimate 5 in the draft. Then they could be spicy, like especially offensively. Draymond passing, like Klay Thompson does so much for that team. People have forgotten. Like, even at the beginning of the year, like, see, it didn't even look good with D'Angelo and Steph and Draymond. It's like Klay Thompson is their best defender and is in constant motion, and that defense is doing nothing but watching where he's going.
Anthony Edwards,
that's what it is.
Yeah, he's a guard.
Yeah.
I forgot he went to Georgia. Him and the Anthonys, they're top-tier prospects, him and Cole Anthony.
Cole Anthony's a dog. He can be great for the Knicks.
Does Golden State, like, this is an insane question. Do they win double-digit games?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They'll get to, what do they have, 3 now?
2.
They'll get 10. They will win more games than the Knicks last year. They'll win 18 games.
Do you think?
Yeah, of course. Their teams will take nights off.
I mean, they're at a point where they aren't going to be playing Steph, Clay,
they're the Santa Cruz
D'Lo,
Warriors.
or even maybe Draymond on many nights.
They are a G League team with Draymond and D'Angelo. That's what they are. A G League team with 2 All-Stars who both don't want to play hard, because what are they playing hard for? You can't ask Draymond Green after 5 straight finals to go out there and give everything for a team that he knows is dog shit.
When was the last time a team didn't win double-digit games? The Sixers, when they won 9 games?
Could have been. I can't think of anything more recent than that off the top of my head. Yeah, I think that had to have been it. But that was a shortened season, right?
Oh, was it the lockout year?
No, it was Charlotte won 7 in the lockout year. That's what it was.
That makes sense. Because
when they were the Bobcats.
Philly won. Yes, that's what it was.
Paul Silas.
Did
Kemba's
Philly
rookie year.
Now I have to look it up.
I think Steven Jackson was on that team. I think, you know what it was? I think they gave Tyrese Thomas a big contract that year. Jesus, that's Charlotte, guys.
You're right.
7
Oh,
wins.
my gosh.
A rookie Kemba Walker, Paul Silas. They were the Bobcats with orange jerseys. Holy cow.
What else happened in the NBA? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
LeBron caught a body the other night. That was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, he murdered Bielitsa.
Yeah.
That was
That's
incredible.
always fun.
Philly won 10 games in 2015-16. 10-72. Brutal. That's a brutal mark.
Hate to see it.
That is a
just hate to see it.
brutal mark.
And hey, but you know what? They got the number 3 overall pick out of it, and then they traded it for the number 1 overall pick. And now that guy plays for Orlando.
And then they took Markelle Fultz. Fantastic stuff. What? Oh, Clippers at 8-5. Any concern at all? Because I'm not.
No.
I think they really just might not play Paul George and Kawhi on the floor together until the playoffs.
I don't care if they have the 3 seed. They're defensively. What Russell Westbrook said the other night, that's a lie. Patrick Beverley is a very good defender.
Yeah, I didn't really know where that was coming from.
I understand that James Harden gave him 47. James Harden gives everybody 40 because he shoots 40 times and he does nothing but try to get fouled, and he doesn't play every 20 seconds when they go back down on defense. So, James Harden's going to give people 47. Kemba gave Jimmy Butler 60 last year. Does that mean Jimmy Butler's a bad defender?
Am I out of my depth if I tell you I really think a guard is going to win Defensive Player of the Year this year?
Are you going to say it's Marcus Smart?
Him or Pat Bev?
Yeah. I don't think Pat Bev's going to win it.
Pat Bev hasn't been as good as Smart, but
if a guard wins it, it's got to be Marcus Smart, right?
have you seen the stats?
I'll tell you what. Have you seen Anthony Davis's though?
Oh, I know, but do you look at? I think Marcus Smart is grading as the best big defender.
I agree
in the
with you.
league.
I would even say that he's more deserving than Anthony Davis, but that award is so much easier for a big guy to win.
I know. I think it was HP Basketball tweeted out recently that I saved the picture, so I have to grab it because I don't want to get the stat wrong. It blew my mind when I saw it because it's something that for a 6'3" guard should be absolutely impossible. In the first month of games, the Celtics were allowing 9 fewer opponent points in the paint per 100 possessions with Marcus Smart on the floor. He's grading he's grading in the 90th percentile against post-ups.
People might not understand that stat. That's wild. Like
a 6'3" guard is limiting almost 10 points in the paint per 100 possessions.
Jesus.
He's guarding the second most post-ups in the league, and he's grading in the 90th percentile. It's like an average 38% field goal percentage or something. It's something absolutely absurd when Marcus Smart is guarding post-ups. And he's grading in the 98th percentile against spot-up shooters.
That's another one, too.
He's been...
How many people... That's never happened where that's both.
There's no way.
No chance. Like, I could never look at it. It would take me years to look that up. But, like, there's no way. I can't think of anyone that could do that.
He's stealing dribble handoffs. Yeah. Just allow me the end of this podcast to gush a little bit over the defense that Marcus Smart has played this year because it is insane. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. And it's like one of my friends was like, "You're out of your depth talking about this like this. Like Draymond can switch onto points." And I'm like, "Well, there's a difference
4 years
between
ago.
Yeah, and there's a difference between a dude who's 6'7" switching onto a point guard and a dude who's 6'3" fucking stonewalling Kristaps Porzingis." Yeah. Like, that's a completely different thing.
The thing for me, like, you can't, it should, like, it is so difficult for a little guy to win that award. Like, so difficult. Like, even Kawhi is considered little in having won that award at 6'7".
Yeah.
Like, that's about as, if you just look at those two stats and then watch Marcus Smart play, and you have a vote for that, I don't see how you wouldn't vote for him. Like, you could look at Anthony Davis and talk yourself into right now. The Lakers are up 24 on the Hawks in the first quarter right now. We're 7.5 minutes in, and the Hawks have 6 points. So that tells you the kind of defense that they're playing in LA, and it's going to stand out because he's 7 feet tall and you can't go to the rim. But when you look at the fact that whoever Marcus Smart is guarding can't go anywhere. You can't score down low. You can't run off a screen. You can't do anything.
Luka Doncic has been talked about as like the MVP frontrunner.
I'm sick of that too.
Early this season, Marcus Smart guarded him for 30 possessions and held him to 6 points.
Yeah, I mean,
like, what are we talking about?
And it's way too early to be calling Luka that stuff. But like, but nobody is doing that to anyone, let alone like any MVP candidate. And I guess Luka's been great, so you can call him an MVP candidate. No matter who it is, like MVP candidates, there's one dude they don't want to see across from them right now.
It's Marcus Smart.
Yeah, it's not Paul George. It's not Kawhi. It's like, oh shit, that dude's just gonna be everywhere.
And there is a difference because like Kawhi and Paul George lock up
for sure, but they're 6'8" and 6'10".
But like the thing with Marcus Smart is he's gonna lock you up. And he's going to be a pain in the ass. He's going to follow
you around.
Yeah, he's going to battle you for rebounds. He's going to throw you on the floor like he did to Giannis over a loose ball.
Every pass you catch is going to be contested. You're not just going to get the ball.
Today in Sacramento, he got a loose ball foul that should have been a jump ball because with a half broken hip, he jumps over somebody and grabs the basketball. Like he's insane on the floor.
You love to watch guys that just throw themselves on the ground. If
he doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year, which he probably won't because he's short.
Exactly.
He's at least going to rack up first team all defense for the next few years. Mm-hmm. Like he's not going to be overlooked for that.
It doesn't matter if he's on the bench or starting. He's first team all defense.
And if he keeps shooting 40% from 3 on 7 attempts for this season, he might be an all-star.
He's taking 7 a game.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
And he's hitting 40%. Damn.
The 40 thing is good, surprising mildly. The 7 is more surprising. I didn't think he was taking 7 threes a game. That's a lot of threes for him.
I mean, he's having. This is last year you campaigned for him to be the most improved player. This year
he should have won. Well, Siakam was great, but he was great too.
Is Smart in his 6th year now? Because if he's in his 5th year, he's still in the window.
No, he's in his 6th. Yeah,
he's in his 6th
right?
season, so he's probably just outside of the ability to win.
Same year as Wiggins, right? 2014.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he might be out of the window to win that award, but at the same time, it's gonna. Yeah, he's at 6.9 attempts a night, shooting 40.8%. I mean, he never shot better than 36% in his career.
Is he close to 50, 40, 90? He's got to be, right? What's his free throws?
No, his field goal percentage is 41.
Yeah.
And his free throws.
He's taking a lot of threes, like relative even then.
I mean, he's taking 9.9 shots, and his threes are at 6.9.
Damn.
He's really
Somebody
maximizing
in the analytics
his time.
department got in his ear.
That's Brad Stevens.
Somebody said, hey,
threes are worth more than twos. And, if that floater goes, he's got a game winner under his belt.
Sure.
So I don't want to get too out of my depth here, but I do kind of think that he's an all-star candidate. It's going to be tough for him in the role and the amount of starts that he gets. I would love to see him, even if he's like a replacement pick by a coach. I would love to see it.
Okay, Eastern Conference all-star guards from last year. D'Angelo's not in the East.
I mean, you got to figure it's going to be Kyrie and Kemba.
Yeah. D'Angelo's not in the East. Kyle Lowry make an all-star team again this year? Or is this was last year the last year for Kyle Lowry to make an all-star team?
He's on the older
He's
side
on that
of
like
things.
Chauncey Billups, he'll make it if his team is good type of thing.
Is Ben Simmons is going to make it as a guard?
Yeah, he'll make it as a guard.
Probably not as a starter, but he'll make it.
D Rose has got a sneaky chance. They won't be any good though, so never mind.
I mean, is Smart kind of in that same level as D Rose when it comes to making the All-Star team?
Trae Young's gonna make it.
Yeah,
which is hollow as hell because his stats are so empty, but they are so big.
So then you have 4 guards because it's going to be Kyrie, Kemba, I almost said Marcus Smart.
That'll
Kyrie,
be so tough. Because,
Kemba, Ben Simmons, and Trae. I mean,
Trae could make it on fan vote. That's what's terrifying. Like,
boy, Terry Rozier.
You know what a fun thing though? Maybe they could do this now with Melo in the West. We could have another honorary thing with Melo and Vince Carter, honorary All-Stars. Melo would have to retire at the end of this year for that to happen. But
who's more likely, Eric Bledsoe or Marcus Smart?
Smart for sure.
Kyle Lowry or Marcus Smart?
That's a tough one. I'm probably Lowry.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, but he's hurt.
Then
we'll see how long he's out for.
Gordon Hayward or Tobias Harris?
Well, see, there's a different one with Gordon Hayward. Stay in Toronto, Gordon Hayward or Siakam. And that's where it gets tough.
Well, I think because Hayward got injured, it's got to lean
Siakam has an outside chance to start that game.
Yeah, I think he's been incredible to start
really,
the year.
Really good.
All right, we're at an hour and a half. We just did 50 minutes of NBA talk after a half hour of football.
You're welcome.
So another full 90 on the mashup. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you next week.
Later.